Okay, guys, we are back from the health food store, and I have pre-cut 3 different kinds of vegetables. This is eggplant. Mr. Delcher, remember we previously mentioned about how to get the bitterness out of the eggplant?
We used, in the eggplant parmesan video, we used salt and water, and then paper, and put it between paper towel,
Right.
and let it sit for a little while,
Right.
until it got some of the bitterness out.
And then we rinsed off the
And then
salt.
we rinsed off the salt.
And we patted it dry, which I already did. All right, these were baby or miniature peppers. We picked those up at the health food store as well. I removed the seeds, and you want to make sure when you do the peppers, even if you use the large ones, that you want to try to get them so they lay flat on the grill. Because otherwise, if they're kind of curved, like a pepper is like this, these parts, the curvature part will grill, and then the inside part will never get the grill marks. So you almost have to take a whole pepper, and you might have to split it in half. And this whitish part that I removed is called the rib. So you want to take the rib out as well of the pepper. Okay, so then these are all going to be lay flat nicely. So when you go to the store, you might want to look at the ones who will have like straight edges on them, so it's much easier to grill them. All right, the third thing that we're going to grill is fresh zucchini. Okay, and I cut these. You could cut them on a bias. I took these. These were not very long. I would say between maybe 6 to 7 inches in length, and I split them in half, and I cut them lengthwise. And the reason why, I have a couple samples over here of Mr. Delcher is going to explain the reason why you don't cut vegetables like this when you grill, because what happens to the vegetables, Mr. Delcher?
So something cut like that is going to be easily, when we go outside to the grill, the outside grill, these could easily fall in between the cracks of the grill.
Right.
But if you were to cut like that, the only way that you could grill those would be as if you used, which we'll also be using in this video, in the oven or using a grill pan.
Right. So, like Mr. Delcher was saying, you don't want to cut them this way no matter what vegetables you do, because you want to cut them, rather lengthy in size, because these will fall through the grates, and then you're going to lose them, and you're going to have a heck of a time getting them out, with the flame coming from underneath.
And we're also going to be putting all of these vegetables together into a sandwich, and something small like that is going to be hard to kind of organize on the bread.
Excellent point.
At least a slice like this will easily lay on, and you'll be able to control as you form the sandwich.
Okay, so I know a lot of you, or some of you don't have barbecue grills at home, which is okay. All right, so we're gonna show you 3 different methods that you can make a grilled vegetable sandwich, or just grilled vegetables. Okay, the first method is you could get one of these grill pans. All right, this is one that I borrowed from my neighbor. Mine is in school. It has markings in it, so when you grill, you have to get the heat extremely high. All right, even with this grill pan. Okay, so when the grill pan gets really hot, all right, we're gonna in a few minutes we're gonna take these vegetables, and we're gonna add some olive oil, some fresh garlic, some fresh basil, and salt and pepper. But you want to make sure that you have some oil here to coat the bottom. You can use probably just enough oil from the vegetables. All right, and you want them to sizzle, which I will show in a little while when we put them in the grill pan. Okay. The second method you could use without going outside is using your oven and putting them on a cookie sheet pan. All right. So what I did is I preheated the oven, but I put it on broil. Okay. So you put it on broil, and you want to put it on high. Okay. All right. So the grill, whether we grill inside or outside, the heat comes from the bottom. But when we broil, where does the heat come from, Mr. Delcher?
It comes from above, so it's going to force down.
Exactly, so it comes from the top down. So you want to make sure that your oven rack is probably closer to the top, and you're going to have to turn your vegetables over, as we're going to do in the grill pan and outside as well. But it's a little bit different.
That's on, right? Be careful.
Yeah, it's on really low. But the method is similar, except the heat comes from the top instead of from the bottom. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of each, and I'm going to put them in a bowl. And I'm going to do the eggplant first, because the eggplant is very absorbent. It's going to absorb a lot of that oil, and you don't want to over-oil the eggplant, because it'll saturate the oil as you keep adding it. So you just want to put enough extra virgin olive oil on to coat it. You want to try to use a decent quality olive oil. Vegetable oil doesn't really have the same flavor, the same taste. So I use vegetable oil. I would say that's probably about maybe a tablespoon. And I want to toss, yeah, you could show that. Mm-hmm. And I want to toss that around a little bit. Okay. To that, I'm going to add some of my, over here, some of my zucchini and some of my peppers. Okay. If I was going to make a large quantity, I would probably do 3 bowls, or one bowl of my zucchini, 1 bowl of my peppers. Sometimes I grill mushrooms, but I usually use separate bowls. Okay? Before we go outside, I want to take a little bit of freshly chopped garlic, add that in. All right, a couple of leaves of the fresh basil, which I already washed. And what I want to do is I want to cut that into a chiffonade cut, which, as you can remember, we did that a few times in previous videos. A chiffonade is thin strips. Okay, put that in the bowl. A little bit of salt and pepper. Okay. Now, remember, when you go outside, you know, I mean, my barbecue grill is located in my backyard, but I do not like to come in the house, out of the house, in the house, out of the house. So what I usually do is I get all my stuff together and I go outside, and I only want to be outside, you know, don't come back in and out. So you want to take everything you need. So if we're going to grill these vegetables, obviously we need to put them on something when the vegetables are done. So I'm going to take my cookie pan with us, and we're going to go outside.
And that's just good mise en place, too.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to go in and out of the house, okay? So we're going to hold off on these 2 methods, and now we're going to go outside to the grill.
You're going to leave that burner?
Yeah, it's on low.
Oh.
All right. All right. So I have a Weber grill here. As you can see, it's the temperature is well above 550. All right. It's a little probably closer to 600. It is smoking. I clean the grates off before you put the vegetables on. You want to make sure you clean the grates off. All right. Make sure that you have a decent surface area to work with. All right. Now, yes,
Boon,
Mr. Delcher.
Mr. Boon, my dad always takes a piece of paper towel with some olive oil and puts some oil on the grill. Do you do that, or
I do
what's
do
the
that
purpose
sometimes,
of that?
but I have enough oil on here, Mr. Delcher. If you go back one more step, you're going to be.
I'm okay. I know that the steps are there.
Okay. All right. Good. So you can. That's a good method of. That's called seasoning, by the way.
Okay.
Seasoning the grill. Okay. I didn't season the grill this time because I cleaned off my grates very nicely beforehand, and I got enough oil on here where I don't think they're going to stick to the grates.
Okay.
All right. But if you don't, another way you can, let's say you don't have a grill brush, all right? And you got to be careful with a grill brush. I'll give you an example. A couple years ago, my brother-in-law was eating a hamburger, and you know those little metal prongs?
Yeah.
Well, it was in his burger.
Ugh.
So he choked on that little metal prong. So you got to be careful about those little metal prongs. You know, if you have an old one, you probably want to get a new one.
Okay.
So if you don't want to use the metal prong, or don't want to take a chance of, you know, consuming it or having someone else consume it, take a piece of aluminum foil and roll it into a ball.
Okay.
Put it on the grill and just rub it back and forth. And you'll pick up all that debris and dirt and, you know, food particles. Not dirt, but food particles that were left from your previous grilling.
Okay.
All right, so.
Well, let's get back to the vegetables. Thank you, Mr. Boon.
You're welcome. The hottest part of the grill, Mr. Delcher, is located where?
The center.
The center, all right? Just like in school, the hottest part is always in the middle, all right?
Right.
So we want to, and when you put the vegetables down, and I showed this to kids, you want to try to put them down as quickly as possible because obviously it's very hot and, you know, you're going to burn your fingers. So I try to keep everything in rows. Makes it much easier for me to, gives me more surface area to work with.
And notice again, kids, what we were talking about where, you know, with the outside grill, where you have the slots in between on the grill plate. Again, something that, like those zucchini circles, those would can easily fall in between.
Right,
these cracks.
exactly.
But like something like this, you're taking up multiple parts of the grill, and they're not gonna fall down easily.
Right.
You know, you still have some mishaps, you know, here and there, but
yeah,
you're less likely to.
I tend to lose a couple pieces every once in a while, but it's It's much easier. It's easier to eat once we get to that point of the video when you consume the sandwich. All right. So all the vegetables for the grilling outside purposes are done. I want to close the grill, but I want to let a little bit of air go inside of it. So what I do is I usually take my tongs and I leave them like that. Okay. So the vegetable that is going to cook the fastest is the, what do you think it is?
Eggplant. That's why, you know, when you might make onions and peppers, you know, the onions are kind of more thinner than the peppers are, so the onions will cook faster than the peppers. So.
Right. And again, you don't need to have one of these in your homes or outside. If you don't have a grill, we're going to go back inside in a few minutes and show you how to do the same method whenever leaving your home. All right. I do come out and grill in the wintertime. Even there's times when I have to shovel the snow to get from the outside of the back door to the grill, just because I like using the grill on a regular basis.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so let's take a look and see where we are. All right, we're going to look at the eggplant first. All right, starting to get some nice grill marks, as you can see. All right, we're going to give it a couple more minutes.
Now, it is never wise, safety purposes, to leave a grill unattended. You know, if you do have to go back inside, you know, once it's you know, heating up, you know, you want to make sure that you're coming back out rather quickly.
True.
And especially once you have once you have food on the grill, you really don't want to leave it, because sometimes with with grills, you know, you could go from something like this to it in flames in matter of seconds. So,
and normally that's caused by a grease fire, which means lack of cleanliness, lack of, you know, like a grease fire almost in the kitchen. If you don't properly clean your grill, usually at least once or twice a year, I'll bring out the power washer and I'll just wash the whole thing down. And then I will, you know, get water in some of the elements, so you got to let the gas kind of, you know, work its way through the pipes again. But I usually do, you know, hit it really good with the power washer to get rid of all that grease. All right, so I think we're about ready to start flipping. All right, you can see the grill marks are starting to form on the eggplant. Okay, you can see how nice that piece is. Nice grill marks. Okay, so now we're going to do the, oh, I got one more over here. Now we're going to do the zucchini. Mr. Delcher, nice markings, right?
very nice markings.
So let's say you flip a piece over, in which I'm probably going to encounter, and you don't have those nice grill marks, like this one. Look at that, just happened like that. Put it back on the grill. Maybe try to find, oh, I lost it. I lost it. Okay, we're going to try to save that piece.
You saved it.
All right. Now, obviously, this was a hotter spot, as you can see. So I'm going to take that piece, and I'm going to move it to a hotter area, because I want to give it a chance to obtain those grill marks. All right, this one as well. So sometimes you got to move them around a little bit to make sure you achieve the proper markings. All right, but again, like Mr. Delcher was saying, the eggplant take the least amount of time, followed by the zucchini, and then finally the peppers. Let's check out the peppers. Starting to get some marks, so we're going to flip those over. All right, so that's what you're trying to obtain. You want those nice grill marks like that. All right, in your peppers. So, Mr. Delcher, one of the things that we do sometimes in school, and I'm sure when some of the students see this video, is we make what's called a coulis. All right, C-O-U-L-I-S. A coulis is when you take a pepper and you char it on a gas stove. All right, so don't be confused with these peppers that are getting grill marks. Okay, that is not charring. Okay, charring is when you blacken the skin and then you put it in a bowl and you cover it with plastic wrap. And what happens is you want to let the moisture build up with the plastic wrap on that grilled pepper, and the pepper is totally black. Right, so you rotate it on the stove, and you know, maybe in another video we can show you how to do that. So what you're doing is when the pepper cools down and it starts to sweat inside the bowl, Then you're going to take it out and you're going to scrape off the skin, the black part, and then you're going to be left with that nice roasted flavor of the pepper. All right, but this is not, we're not charring the peppers here, we are grilling them.
I've come into the kitchen sometimes and seen you doing that, and I'm like, what are you doing? You're going to set the school on fire.
It's like blackening, right? Blackening the pepper.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. All right, now also what I was recommending, what I was commenting on inside the house is, even though this pepper is rather small and it is a little bit flat, you can see all the grill marks are on the sides, but they're not really in the middle. All right, so if you have a larger pepper, you want to make sure that that pepper is either cut in half again, all right, so it lays flat when you do put it on your grill. All right, so I think we're, excuse me, I think we're just about done here. So I'm going to take my tongs and I'm going to get off the pieces. If you can get a couple pieces at a time. Mr. Delcher, are you barking?
No.
Oh, okay.
I think that's the neighbor.
Okay, okay.
They smell our delicious vegetables and they are interested. Yes, we have vegetables for you.
Okay. Before we go back in the house, I wanted to talk about the propane tank for a second, all right? This is my propane tank. I know some people will leave the tank open, and I always close my tank and open my tank whenever I use it. So, you know, you have an igniter switch over here. Make sure that you shut the gas off properly before you know, turn it on properly and shut it off properly as well, because you don't want to have that smell of gas, okay? Normally, you know, if you're grilling a lot outside, you know, we're approaching the summertime, you want to have a backup tank, because if your tank, you know, runs out of propane in the middle of grilling, it's, you know, you're kind of in trouble, and you got to go run to Home Depot or Lowe's and get your tank filled up. So,
Mr. Boone, what is your preference? Because a lot of people say that they can taste the difference between propane grilling and
yes.
charcoal grilling. Like, what is there a difference? Have you noticed the difference in flavor? You know, what's your experience?
The charcoal, I think, gives it a more smoky flavor, gives it a more of a grill flavor. I mean, you could smell a charcoal grill as opposed to a propane grill, all right? But I am always in a hurry, so I don't like the amount of time. You know how long it takes for the charcoal to get ready and for the briquettes to turn white and all that stuff. So that's why I most often use a propane grill, because of the fact that you know, let's say it's snowing out and or raining out, I could just take my lid and close it, as opposed to the charcoal grill, which if it rains or snows, you know, I'm gonna lose my flame and my heat.
Right.
So, all right, so we're gonna stop the video for a second. Okay, we're back inside. The next technique that I wanted to show you guys is using the grill pan. Okay, the grill pan is heating up. It's actually hot. All right, I have the flame on as high as it goes. I'm gonna actually put both flames on just to get a lot of heat out of that pan. All right.
I use my grill pan. I like it.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so I'm gonna put the vegetables on, and you should hear that crackling. You know, just like the grill outside. Okay, same method. You want to try to keep them as close together as possible. You know, don't scatter them around, you know, because you don't want to stand over the grill cooking for a prolonged period of time. So try to keep them in a row, keep them organized, keep it so, you know, you're not going to be doing it numerous times, okay? All right, and now, again, like we did outside, the heat is coming from the bottom. All right, and we're probably going to finish right there. All right, so Mr. Delcher, that last pan, all right, what is we going to use that for?
The sheet pan.
That well-seasoned sheet pan, Mr. Delcher.
This well-seasoned sheet pan, we're going to put some more lay some more vegetables out and put it inside of our oven that's already been preheating on broil, as we mentioned earlier, on high.
Okay, so let's open the oven door and let's see where that heat is coming from. All right, you see the heat flame, which is on top this time. It's not coming from the bottom; it's coming from the top. So broiling is a different cooking method. So we really got to be careful. Let's say you want to, you know, sometimes I put bread in here, and if you're going to toast bread, you know, put on both sides, you really got to be very careful. You know, my oven rack is almost in this high position it can go. All right, so I'm going to take my vegetables and I'm going to lay them on my pan. And I'm going to scatter them around.
In restaurants, some restaurants have a special broiling device that allows them to be able to do some of the similar things,
Right.
or be able to, a lot of times, keeps food hot, or, you know, a lot of times, if you get, French onion soup. If you get French onion soup, a lot of times that crisp cheese on top is usually done because they used a broiler.
Okay.
Or use the broiler setting inside the oven. Right, Mr. Boone?
Yes, yes. And let's say, you know, you're a waiter or waitress and you go to serve the meal and you're at, you know, an upscale restaurant and the woman or the man went to the bathroom. You're going to take that food, instead of leaving it on the table, you're going to put it back and you're going to put it underneath. And that item that you're talking about is called a salamander.
Okay.
All right? Which is very similar to a broiler. It does the same thing, but it kind of finishes it off. Or if you put it on a very low setting and you put it in the bottom rack, it'll keep the food warm until that person returns.
Right.
But in regards to like French onion soup or chicken parmesan or veal parmesan, you want to get that nice golden brown color. That's what you would use a salamander broiler for. All right. So out of the three methods that we're showing you today, this is the method that I probably like to do the least because it doesn't give you those nice grill marks. It'll brown it, but it will not give you the nice marks like we did with using that. So let's throw this in the oven. Okay, one of the things I wanted to mention too, which I wanted to do, I forgot to do in previous videos, is this oven has what is called a quick bake. All right, and I'm going to keep it on broiler right now. But the quick bake means that in the back of the oven it has a fan. All right, so there's two types of ovens that we use in the restaurant industry. There's a conventional oven, which is the oven without a fan, and the one that was used most often in restaurants is the convection oven. And Mr. Delcher, you want to know why do we use the convection oven? What is that? What do you think that fan does?
It blows air across the food, right?
Blows air across the food,
which makes it cook quicker.
Makes it cook quicker, which is what we need in the restaurant business. We want to try to get that food done as quickly as possible.
Quickly as possible.
All right, so our veggies are ready to be flipped. All right, and you can see the markings are similar to outside.
No, they might not be quite the same.
No, but it's a similar method. You know, you could get a grill pan at Target and get a grill pan at Walmart. You know, they're depending on the quality of the pan. I mean, they're not that expensive. All right, you just want to make sure that heat stays high.
I think you might even be able to get a grill pan in like ShopRite in the pan section.
But you still get that nice, color. You still get the brownness, from the ones that we previously did outside, which are over here. You can see that they're pretty similar in color, as compared to the grilled vegetables inside and outside. Yeah. It's a similar method. Okay. Okay. Now let's talk about the marinade we're making. All right. So. I'm going to put this off to the side. Mr. Delcher, you're going to keep an eye on the oven.
All right.
And you're going to keep an eye on the veggies over here. In fact, this roll is done. One of the things that I mentioned in previous videos, and Mr. Delcher, I'm going to get you another pan, or you can grab one from the bottom over there, is if Mr. Delcher takes these off this pan, or he takes the ones out of the oven, and he puts them all in this bowl, what do you think is going to happen to those vegetables that are in the bottom?
They're going to get soggy because they're going to keep cooking.
Exactly.
Because the heat is going to force down.
The heat is not going to escape, and it's going to cause the vegetables to get mushy, and they're not going to be as nice and crisp, and not have nice markings to eat. So you want to make sure you put them on a sheet pan, which I'm going to put these on a sheet pan just to spread them out a little bit. All right, and you're going to put those when they're done on a sheet pan as well.
You got it.
All right, there's an oven mitt for you. Should be an oven mitt over there in the corner.
Yep.
All right, so let's see how they're doing. So you're not getting a lot of action yet. This is probably the method that probably takes the longest. All right, but you can see they're starting to crackle. You can hear it. You know, it's not as, you know, the markings aren't the same as I previously mentioned, but you're going to get the same concept.
Right.
Okay. A basic vinaigrette is 3 parts oil, all right, to 1 part vinegar. Okay, so I'm going to grab my blender over here. Food processor also works well. Okay, so to my blender, I'm going to add my fresh garlic. Okay, I'm gonna add the rest of my basil leaves. Okay, now these don't have to be cut because the machine is doing all the work for you. So all you really got to do is just throw them in. So Delcher, I think those grilled vegetables on top are done.
All right. Yep.
All right, Mr. Delcher, let's talk about vinegars for a second. Vinegars are naturally. When you taste vinegar, you know what usually happens to your taste buds.
Usually rather acidic.
Acidic, yeah. Acidic, somewhat bitterness, right? Okay, so in order to alleviate or get rid of some of that bitterness, we want to add something sweet.
Right.
All right, so usually I add fresh honey to this. You could add honey. Or you could also add just granulated sugar or 10x sugar, all right, or confectionery sugar. Okay, 10x sugar and granulated sugar are the same thing. All right, so here's my balsamic vinegar. All right, and I'm going to let me see. I'm going to measure this out. All right, so as I was saying, 3 parts oil. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, 3 parts oil to 1 part vinegar.
Should I flip these?
Let's see how they are. Let's get the camera in there. I would say give them another 2 minutes, Mr. Delcher, and then give them a flip. All right? Could have taken the cap off, would have come out a lot faster. Okay, so you can make this vinaigrette in advance. You don't have to make it the day of. I mean, you know, it'll last in the refrigerator. If anything, the oil will solidify, but you can bring it up to room temperature by throwing it in the microwave for a few seconds, or you could just leave it and get it to room temperature. But because we added the garlic and because we added basil, you want to make sure you do keep it in the refrigerator.
Right. And this is a good vinaigrette that you can easily, you know, put in salads and stuff like that too.
Yeah, yeah. Good for the summertime. You know, I know buying a bottle of dressing is rather convenient and easy, but I mean, basically, as long as you know,
pretty simple too.
As long as you know the ratio is 3 to 1. I mean, there's not really a lot, you know, to that you need to do in order to make a dressing. Now, Mr. Delcher, let me ask you a question. Would you consider this dressing a permanent emulsion or a semi-permanent emulsion?
I would say it's a semi-permanent emulsion.
That is correct. All right. So,
because it's probably, you know, once I know even with like a lot of dressings that I get at the grocery store, you know, you need to shake them up before you start to put them on your because those are semi-permanent
emulsions. Okay.
So
oil and vinegar really never come together, right? Which is called a semi-permanent emulsion. It'll hold for a little while, but it's going to separate again. That's why when we open up a bottle of dressing and we put it on our salad, we always shake the bottle first. Except if the dressing is what type of dressings do you think that are permanent emulsions?
I can't think of one off the top of my head.
How about something like Russian dressing?
Oh, okay.
Or French dressing.
Or like ranch dressing.
Ranch dressing, okay? When we open up a bottle of ranch dressing, we don't shake the bottle first because there's no need to, because that is called
blue cheese.
Blue cheese. Those are all examples of a permanent emulsion.
Okay.
Okay, so we have semi-permanent, and permanent emulsions. Okay, Mr. Delcher, I think you're going to have to flip those over now.
Alrighty.
All right, so slide the rack out first. There you go. All right.
And just flip those over.
All right, so while Mr. Delcher is doing that, I'm going to add approximately about 2 tablespoons of honey. And I'm going to tap it down a little bit, get the honey out. There we go. Mr. Delcher, I heard you and Miss Olivo are we're gonna make our own honey eventually.
Hopefully, we'll have nice Essex County Tech honey.
And when is this? You think this is gonna be ready by? If all goes well.
The fall.
The
Maybe,
fall. Okay.
maybe the fall. Depends on how busy our new bees work. You know, if they don't make enough, then maybe we might not have some, and we might have to wait till next year. But we're gonna cross our fingers and hope.
Okay. All right. So I added my honey. All right. I have some garlic in there. I have the basil. I have the olive oil. And I have the balsamic vinegar. To that, I'm gonna add some salt, and I'm gonna add some pepper. Okay. Put my lid on. I'm already plugged in. What?
I got everything flipped.
Oh, good.
You put that back in. Flip it up.
Okay. As you can see, everything is blended together. Mr. Delcher, what do you think the first thing we do is before we start to utilize this in our with our vegetables? What should we do? What do you think we should do?
Taste it.
Taste it. Excellent. Taste it.
In case we need to add
Right.
maybe a little seasoning or.
A lot of times students
you know,
forget to taste items. You know, even in competition purposes, you need to taste stuff before you apply it to your food.
Right.
Because if it gets to the point where it goes to the customer, it goes to the judges, and you didn't taste it first, you might not be able. You're not going to be able to fix it before it goes outside. To the dining room table, or to the
Absolutely.
judges. So you want to get it a little bit on a tasting spoon. Taste it. All right. You can taste a little bit of the bitterness, and then you can also taste the sweetness that follows it.
No, absolutely. This is good.
Okay, good. So now that we've both tasted it, Mr. Delcher, put your spoon in the sink because I don't want you to double
Yep.
dip because I know you.
Nope, nope, nope.
Okay. All right. So there we have our balsamic vinaigrette. Okay. I'm gonna wipe up my area. Now, Mr. Delcher, the grilled vegetables in the oven, the broiled vegetables, if you want to call them that, are similar to like when you make a pancake.
Right.
Okay. When you take that pancake and you flip it over, all right, it doesn't have to take as long to cook this when you flip it over as it did originally when you put it in the pan. All right. So just keep that in mind as you're broiling your vegetables.
So I should be able to take them out soon, no?
Yes. All right, so this is the focaccia bread, which is an Italian type of bread. Looks like it has some fresh herbs in it. We got this at the health food store. All right, so I'm going to open this up.
So that means it's probably made with some organic ingredients.
I would definitely say so. All right, if you want to toast this off yourself, or maybe brush with a little bit of olive oil, put it in the oven and get it nice and crispy. However you want
It
to.
smells good.
It does. It does. Okay, so this was the Culinary Institute knife that I was telling you that's 20 years old from my days at the CIA. All right, so back when I went to the Culinary Institute of America, there would be other students obviously in the class, 15 to 20 students that had the same knife as this. So everybody had the same knife. So you want to make sure you didn't take somebody else's knife or somebody didn't take your knife. So, Mr. Delcher, you see that little engraving over there?
Oh, look at that.
What is that?
That's the Yankees logo.
That is the Yankees logo. Okay, so that's how Mr. Boone knew that that knife was his.
It is.
Okay,
Nice.
So that was etched on, you know, way back when. Put your hand on the top. Take your slicing knife and you want to go through the bread, through the focaccia, all the way through, kind of keeping it in the middle so you have the same bread amount on the top and on the bottom. Okay?
Look at that.
Okay, now comes the part where we build our sandwich. So Delcher, how are those vegetables looking?
Pretty good. Huh?
I think they're done.
You ready for me to take them out?
I think they're done.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna shut this off. So Delcher, you can slide those onto here.
I'll slide them up.
Yeah. All right, so what I usually do is I do one vegetable at a time. So I'm going to grab all the zucchini, all right, or as many as I need to cover the bottom of the sandwich. Some more zucchini. Mr. Delcher, throw it in the oven for now.
Yeah.
You know,
Here we go.
then I'll forget about it. My wife will yell at me tomorrow. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm putting the vegetables in the marinade, all right? But I don't want to oversaturate it because if I oversaturate the vegetable, I'm also going to oversaturate my bread. So I want to put a layer down of the vegetables, okay, covering the entire piece of focaccia. All right, so Mr. Delcher, you see in this bowl over here, I have some fresh mozzarella cheese that we bought at the health food store as well. All right, so that's
It's
gonna
actually locally produced.
exactly. All right, so we need a couple more pieces of zucchini. All right, and then next we're gonna do the peppers. Okay, so dip them in, scrape it off a little, and put that so you cover the entire bottom. Okay. Now I'm gonna do the. Oh, I'm sorry, myself. Do the peppers. Some people take their vegetables, the dressing, and they grill the vegetables with the balsamic or the balsamic vinaigrette already on the vegetables, and then start cooking them. I prefer not to do that because the moisture causes the vegetables not to have those nice grill marks.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Now, Mr. Boone, I've also
Yes.
seen you, instead of using a balsamic vinaigrette, you've applied like a balsamic glaze on these grilled vegetables.
Correct.
What's the difference? Why would you do it those two different ways? Is it just dependent on the client, or what you're trying to serve them as?
Sometimes when you saw me do it in school, I think it was because of restriction of time. The glaze is reduced balsamic vinegar.
Right.
All right, and I usually would sweeten that up with some sugar, but you can also buy balsamic glaze at the grocery store as well. All right, and again, for those of you who are saying, "Oh, I don't have vinegar, I don't have oil at home, I don't have vinegar at home," all right, you can make this with Italian dressing if you wanted to,
Right.
And you can also go ahead and go to the grocery store and buy yourself a bottle of. I think we had it out somewhere. You could go. Oh, there it is, Musso. You could go to the grocery store and buy yourself a bottle of the balsamic vinaigrette with honey, and does it taste the same? No.
No.
But will you get a similar quality and stuff like that? Yes. But the flavors and the process is not there. But it'll come out similar. I mean,
And that bottle's only about $2 to $3 at the grocery store.
Correct. Okay, so I did my zucchini. I have my peppers. Right, as you can see, the colors are vibrant. You want to make sure you cover the entire bread surface area. Okay, and now I'm going to finish up with the eggplant. And again, don't oversaturate the bread. point here. All right, Mr. Delcher, you're gonna start laying on the pieces of fresh mozzarella, okay?
Okay. Let me just get some.
All right, let me get this out of your wet. Let me
gloves.
wipe down over here. All right, and as you can see, I have some vegetables, and I also have some vinaigrette left over. So again, I can put this in my refrigerator. I could use it for future use. I would not throw it in the garbage because I didn't cross-contaminate it. There's nothing wrong with it, so I could use that again, for something else.
How am I doing, Mr.
You're
Boone?
doing very good. You hear that fan running? 8 out of 10 times when I cook, I have that fan running because I do multiple things at the same time, which causes the fan to automatically kick on. And sometimes when you're trying to eat your dinner, you get that constant fan noise, and it's not the most pleasant noise you want to hear, but it automatically kicks on because it detects the amount of heat that you're generating, and so I'm gonna blame you for that one because you broiled.
So how's that look, Mr. Boone?
I say that's good. I would quit right there.
All right.
All right. Now, if we stop right here, is this considered vegetarian?
This would be vegetarian.
This would be vegetarian.
It would
okay.
be
Not vegan.
Not
it would
vegan,
not be vegan.
but vegetarian.
But vegetarian.
Okay.
Without the cheese, it would be vegan.
Yes.
Vegan, correct. Okay. So we're still vegetarian, which
Right.
this is still relatively.
Actually, it depends because
Depends on the focaccia too.
and also the honey because vegans may not eat honey.
Okay.
Okay. Now, Mr. Delcher, as we all know, is not a vegan, and he sure is not vegetarian. So,
Absolutely.
Mr. Delcher, behind you is your favorite.
My favorite. Prosciutto.
Oh,
Thinly sliced
Thinly
prosciutto.
sliced prosciutto.
All right. So you're gonna peel off those slices.
Oh, I love prosciutto. Oh.
Where does prosciutto come from?
Prosciutto comes from the pig,
It is pork.
pork. All right, and that meat is
What-
cured. Mr. Delcher, what does
What
it
is
mean?
going on?
Ah, you got this paper over
It
here.
is
This
very
comes off
thinly
first.
sliced.
Very
Very
thin,
thinly
and you want it to
sliced.
be thinly sliced.
I'm having some troubles here, Mr. Bowman.
All right, I'll give you a hand. You could work on that one piece, and let's
So
see.
there are different types of prosciutto, correct?
Correct. There is the domestic, and there's the imported, which is the prosciutto the Parma, which is probably about $16 to $17 a pound.
And there's one from, is it Spain? That's about $35. The jamón, is it jamón ibérico?
Oh, that's right. You are correct. Yes, yes.
I've always wanted to get some pig,
Jamón ibérico?
and try to make some, try to make it myself, for sure.
Really?
Mr. Delcher, can I tell our audience about when you went to the food show and they had that thinly sliced prosciutto, and how you never I had a hard time getting you away from
that table,
yes, because that thing was coming out paper thin, and they were
Yes.
giving it to you like.
and I just kept on taking samples.
Yes.
I
yes.
can't tell you when I went to Italy and they had a section of the prosciutto and it's just thinly sliced like you're saying. It comes out just like
Oh,
butter.
Delicious.
Oh.
Delicious.
Oh, you're making me hungry.
Yes. You remember that day, right?
Yes.
They had that machine it wasn't even electric. Remember, it was a hand-driven slicer.
Oh,
It was like a real authentic slicer. It was red in color.
Take me to heaven.
All right. It's coming up soon though. So.
Yes.
All right. So, we put our lid back on, our cover. Okay. Now to cut this, we want to get our serrated knife. That's the knife with the teeth. Okay. All right. We're going to cut the sandwich, placing our fingers over, making sure that the vegetables and the prosciutto and the cheese doesn't escape. All right. And now, if you see the inside of that sandwich, you can see the layers. See how beautiful that looks?
delicious.
All right, so Mr. Delcher, I hate to put you on the spot, but I'm going to have you eat a piece right now. All right, if I were to serve this on a plate, I would definitely use some picks because, as you can see, it's looks like it's going to start falling apart. I would use some frill picks or bamboo sticks. All right, but let's take a look at the inside of that. All right, you see the beautiful grill marks. All the different flavors are all married together now. All right, and we have the nice focaccia bread.
And you also have the sweetness from the vinaigrette and the saltiness from the prosciutto.
That's true.
Oh, true.
That's true. All right, and Mr. Delcher, the final part.
The taste
Your favorite
test.
part.
Taste test.
Your favorite part of all the videos.
Taste
the taste test. Oh,
We're keeping that in the video.
I'm sorry, Mr. Boon, but it's like I always feel like Guy Fieri. You know, oh my God, this is delicious. Like it's the best sandwich I ever had.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Very good.
All right. So this concludes our video with different grilling techniques, broiling, working with vegetables, different knife cuts. All right, and we hope to see you next week. Mr. Delcher, I will talk to Mr.
See you later.
Delcher. Bon appetit.